Hi, my name is David Schroeder, and I am author of Rabbit Hole, a satanic ritual abuse survivor story in which I detail my family's involvement in a failed savings and loan called Franklin Credit here in Omaha, Nebraska. I have come under some fire for things that I have been saying about the official victims of the Franklin Credit Union, and I would like to take some time tonight to actually explain where I'm coming from and maybe offer some explanations so that people will understand where I'm coming from with this whole situation. First of all, I want people to realize that I don't wish to be in a fight, but I do not believe the official story that has been circulated for the last 30 years surrounding Franklin Credit Union. I have issue with John DeCamp. I have issue with Paul Bonacci. I have issue with Noreen Gosh. I have issue with the book that Nick Bryant just wrote because it just basically, it's the same story over and over and over without the real details of what was going on in Omaha. They're all left out. Now, what are those details? I've talked about it on my blog. Let's Explain and the Walking Tour of Pedophile Omaha. I talk about the old market. I talk about the child abduction and trafficking ring that was going on in the old market. I talk about the French Cafe and three brothers who lived across the street from my family who were reportedly involved with the involvement of the abduction of Johnny Gosh. So then you also have the Hollywood Bar. That's where the snuff films were being filmed. When the allegations came out that there was snuff films being filmed at the Hollywood Bar, instead of investigating, the city tore the bar down and built a parking garage over it. Right up the street, half a block, maybe a block, you have the Stage Door Bar, which Sam Soda worked at. He was also reportedly involved with the abduction of Johnny Gosh, which is what involves Noreen Gosh and the whole situation with Johnny Gosh in a situation in Omaha, Nebraska, even though Johnny Gosh was abducted in West Des Moines, Iowa. And so the Hollywood Bar and the Stage Door Bar were right across the street from the police station. And that's where Robert Wadman, who's chief of police at the time, controlled the police force. So those are some of the issues that I have of some of the things that are being left out. Other things, off at Air Force Base, there were drugs being shipped down to the Contras and cocaine was being shipped back. A lot of people became very rich with the money that was being made on the child trafficking and the gun and drug trafficking that was happening in the city at the time. Now, not only was there cocaine coming in from the Contras, but there was also experimentation going on. It's called MK Ultra experiments. Now, I know that this sounds fabricated, but if you read my book, you will read the history of what is going on. Now, the nice thing about my book, Rabbit Hole, a satanic ritual abuse survivor story, is that the marketing team that I had actually did all of the documentation. And so you don't have to just listen to what I have to say. You can also read the documentation. Now, other facts that were being left out is all of the child sacrifices that were happening at Hummel Park, and the efficient disposal system that they had going on at Forest Lawn Cemetery it was about 5 miles away. Also, the chapel that was in Forest Lawn was also a place where sacrifices were being held, and there were a lot of strange things that were going on that I always equated that everything that was going on with the satanic stuff had everything to do with all the stuff that was going on at Offutt Air Force Base and all the experimentation that was going on. However, I just got an email from someone this last week, and I want to thank them for their email, because basically what they reminded me of is that this is not a war on perception, even though it is somewhat. Right now I'm experiencing a lot of character assassination because people do not like my point of view and the issues that I have with this case. I do not understand how people who have lived in this area all of their lives, who were involved in the official investigations, and people like Paul Bonacci, could know so much about so many other places and have crystal clear, articulate details about things that happened in Washington, D.C. and other places like Bohemian Grove and farmhouses and all kinds of stories that surround Johnny Gosch. But they don't know anything about their own hometown. And living here in Omaha, I will tell you, especially now that I have distributed my book to so many people, there are a lot of people who remember exactly what was going on, and I'm not the only one who actually remembers. Now, there are also, why would there be a conspiracy to actually keep this quiet? Well, this is what I believe. See, I have a long, sordid history with Noreen Gosch. She and I got in contact with each other and formed a relationship for a while, and she helped me get the gumption to actually stand up to a lot of people. One of the people that she got me to stand up to was her ex-husband. And anyone who knows me knows that it doesn't take much to actually get me to go after people that I feel have done wrong. And one of the things that she told me is that he was involved with selling Johnny. What people don't understand about Franklin is that kids were not just being abducted, they were being sold as well. My whole family, all of my older brothers and sisters, or my older brother and sisters and myself, were sold in a child trafficking ring. Parents were selling their children. Now, the proof that I have with this is that what I have is that this is the original letter, handwritten letter that I sent her ex-husband, John, regarding everything that was going on. Now, I talk about in the letter that I got his address from a team of investigators, but again, anyone who knows me knows that there's no money and I have absolutely no private investigators. The address actually came from Noreen. And so this is kind of proof that there was a relationship going on, and there's much more to the story than what people realize. I don't really want to get into a tick-for-tack situation, but I really do believe that the official story is to prevent people from actually looking at what was happening at Franklin at the time. And there's a lot of money there's a lot of money involved to try and keep this quiet. There are a lot of articles out there that are involved with Nick Bryant. He just had a friend of his who wrote an article that is on my Facebook. I shared it so that I could be on my Facebook. Rabbit Hole, if you're interested. And so it basically was written by one of his friends, and they're all talking about all of the people who are dead. But let me talk about some of the people who are alive and give you a little example of the kind of battle I'm dealing with in this David and Goliath kind of situation. I know it comes as a shocker, and people are going to just reel, but Warren Buffett is involved with this. Willie Thiessen, who owned Godfather's and built it from a one-room family establishment to a national chain in a year and a half. PJ Morgan, who is a real estate broker. These people were involved with the cult that my family was involved with. They were involved with blood sacrifice that I was involved with, being led by Anton LaVey and especially Michael Aquino, who was my main handler at the time. Now, this person who wrote me an email reminded me that this is not a war of perception, but a spiritual war. And I really had to think about that for a long time, and that is what I've realized, is that this is a spiritual war, and you guys have already lost. I know that you're wanting to make amends, but let me assure you that God doesn't want your blood money. And I know that I'm going to take a lot of heat for this video, and a lot of people are going to say a lot of things about me and exactly what I'm saying. But again, I'm trying to make this video tonight so that you can make up your own minds. Read my book, you know, and understand exactly what was happening in Omaha, Nebraska. It's not that hard to understand. One last thing. The reason why I'm fighting so hard against this is because I am seeing this strange correlation between Franklin being applied to Penn State. And I'm afraid that Penn State is going to get wrapped up in the chaos of Franklin and get dismissed in the same way Franklin has been dismissed for the last 30 years. John DeCamp is not a hero as far as I'm concerned, and this is the reason why. He cannot be so involved with this whole investigation and not know exactly what was going on in Omaha and the things that I'm talking about, because the things that I'm talking about are things that other people know and are talking about in town as well. How did he keep from knowing that? And he's involved himself in all of these controversial, strange cases, such as the Columbine case. I know that from personal experience, because I saw 8 boxes of files that he wasn't even supposed to have go back with Doug Millar and his friends to Colorado. He's also involved himself with the Franklin, and that's, you know, undoubtedly his biggest claim to fame. And now he's starting to say that he related all of this stuff to Penn State 10 years ago. And so what I'm afraid of is that the chaos that's going on in Omaha, Nebraska, and all of that stuff that happened with Franklin, and all of the weird stuff that was happening with Johnny Gosch, which is what I talk about in my book and on my blog, all of this chaos is going to be used to dismiss Penn State in people's minds. That's what happened last time when we had satanic panic, of course, now with the Catholic Church and the Sandusky trial and conviction. The False Memory Foundation can't come forward and actually claim that it was all repressed memories that can all be dismissed because there's no video to, you know, be had, even though there are videos because they're snuff films. So I'm sorry, I'm exhausted, but I wanted to put this video out, and so thanks, and I hope this explains where I'm coming from. I just have a lot of concerns, and I'm really wanting things to go right this time. And so thank you for your time, and I'll be talking to you later. Bye.